Hey and welcome, y'all. We are here for another review. This is kind of freestyle but with notes, so we old school meets new schools. Listen, I was not sure if I was going to do this show. I enjoy watching the show, but being a new YouTuber, you learn very quickly you cannot review every single thing you watch. You just can't. So you have to pick and choose. So I'm not even sure if I'm going to stick with the show. I'm going to try, but I'm going to try and also handle it in a recap format, so maybe that'll make it a little better. The show, you ask? Well, it's Marriage Bootcamp Hip Hop Edition, Season 18, Episode 1, Lovers on Lockdown. Marriage Bootcamp is back, y'all. They start off by telling us for the first time in 16 seasons, Marriage Bootcamp cast has to quarantine before they enter the house. And now we're talking 14 days on top of the 10 days that they have to do in the house. That's a lot. Well, let's see if they're going to make that. That's like practically a whole month almost. So they show us clips of each couple in the hotel and all the little things that they went through. We're not going to go through all of that. They're out. They've made it to the house. So now we have our couples. Our couples are Amber and Brock, Monie, Love and Tuff, Molly Mall and Treasure, and Nori and Niri. So first we have Amber Laura and Miles Sir Brock, who we know from Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. They were high school sweethearts. They were together for 20 years. And after Love and Hip Hop, I'm sure we all thought they were over and done with. After 6 years, as Miles tells us later. So he cites the issues in the relationships as infidelity, verbal abuse. She might have gone upside my head a couple of times, he says. Okay. And their most recent and biggest issue is him coming out to Amber as bisexual. Now, we saw that on Love and Hip Hop, but we're gonna visit it again 6 years later here. And Amber says that Miles says he's not into men anymore, that it was just a phase and he wants to be with her. Now, Amber girl, I'm not sure that's how any of this works, but okay, girl, we gonna go with it. So next we have Monie, Love, and Tuff. Now, if you don't know your hip hop history, you don't know, then you wouldn't know that Monie Love is a hip hop icon. As she says, she's been in the game for over 4 decades. Tuff is an artist and he's a songwriter. They've been together for 14 years, and there's a 12-year gap between the two of them. Monie thought it would be like a summer fling with the boy toy, but nope. And so now the couple has a child together. Monie says she's an old beach, and I just laugh. She's right up there with my brother, who's just a little bit older than me, but I'm an old bitch too, Monie. Anyway, our next couple is Molly Mall and Treasure. Molly Mall is a producer also from Love and Hip Hop. When he was on there, he was a hot mess. So we already know he's about to come on here and be a hot mess. We already know. Treasure is a dancer. She was in men's magazines and on TV. The two have been in a long-distance relationship, and Treasure says their biggest issues, other than the distance, is the power struggle. There's a power imbalance, she says. They dated on and off for 4 years. And I'm like, where do I know Treasure from? Because my old lady brain. So I had to run my Googles and realize she was on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta for at least one episode. So Molly says that, they have strong personalities, and Treasure says, she loves a cocktail. And with the group, Molly also mentions there are also trust issues. So lastly, we get Nori and Niri, my guy Nori, who is another long-time hip hop head. He also has a podcast called Drink Champs that I've watched a couple times. The couple has been together for 14 years. They've been married for 10. As we find out later, they're the only couple in the house that's married. How do you have a show about being married and not be married? But this has been going on for seasons, so I digress. He met his wife on the day his father dies, and he sees her as a gift from his father from heaven. I thought that was so sweet. Now, they probably gonna be real messed up, but I thought that was like such a sweet sentiment. So their issues are petty, and he says it's more so on him being the petty one. Neeri says Nori is old school, and Nori says, he knows he needs to change, but he's willing to do so. Neeri wants more help at home and with the kids, and she wants better communication. These don't seem like hard ask, but do they ever? So now the couples, they discuss how they dealt with the quarantine and their relationship issues. Amber and Brock, they have 20 years in. Molly asked them if they have kids. They say no, and Brock's like, we're supposed to have a kid this year. And Amber's like, no, we're supposed to figure out your sexuality this year. Why are they together is going to be the constant theme of this show. So they're probably the most toxic couple I have in my notes, and why they chose to, not why they chose. They're part of the reason why I chose to recap instead of giving a full-on out review. I honestly don't know why they're together. He blames her for cheating with men, which is a cop-out no matter what. No matter what your sexuality, you blaming anybody else for your cheating is a cop-out. And he said he wants to avoid all the drama, but she calls him out. She calls him out his name, which we didn't appreciate. And she says that he is the biggest drama queen there. So Brock discusses being a rapper and being, bi in the hip hop community. And it turns out that Amber has hid the fact that they're still together from her family and friends. And he says she's embarrassed. And that's abundantly clear. I will say what I typed on Twitter. She wants a straight man, and he wants somebody, he wants acceptance. He wants somebody to accept him for who he is. They just need to basically call it quits and find someone that makes them both happy. Like, they deserve that. Like, why keep trying to force something that's clearly not work? So you know how this show goes. It's a game show. First, we have the NBC Daters game with Dr. Ish. They want to know, how well do you know their partner? We're not going to get into details. The first questions are easy. They want to know your first kiss, your pet names for your partner, and the crazy place you've ever had sex. And then it changes. And now it's the NBC haters game. And the judge comes out. And when the judge comes out, she did not come to play with y'all. So she says, we got to have pain before we have game. Dr. Ish reads a statement, and they have to figure out who said what. This is the part where we see the video footage that the couples have done about each other prior to coming on the show. This always gets messy. I don't know why these people don't watch the show. The format is the same. The formula is the same. They always you think that video is private, they're going to show that video. So with Molly and Treasure, the distance makes it hard for him to trust. And he himself has not been 100% faithful, he says. When he met her, she knows what it was. He was around multiple women, blah, blah, blah. You know how these dudes do. So Treasure's issue is the money and the power dynamic. He has to have his way. He says he does the manly things, and sometimes he wants her to do the womanly things. Monie wanted to know what the womanly things were. I did too. So he was kind of, what did he say? Gas and go, pay and get. It don't even matter. So Treasure, she begins to unload, and Dr. Ish is like, and the judge are like, whoa. He's like, this is what happens when you swallow how you feel a lot. And when it finally comes out, it just spills out all over the place. And that's what it was. Total diarrhea of the mouth. She was just going. I can't even honestly remember what she said. Amber and Brock. Amber has to be sure that Miles wants to be with her and not another man or a woman. Dr. Ish asks if she's threatened by his sexuality. She says no, but basically, if he chooses to be bi, it's not for her. These were her words. Dr. Ish has to remind her, it's not a choice. Miles says, excuse me, he's choosing her. Dr. Ish asks if she's ashamed, and Brock says, she makes him feel insecure. She tries to discredit what he says, and then they go back and forth, and Brock leaves. So it's only day one. Although they did do the quarantine, so that probably didn't help. So, we come back, Dr. Ish pulls him to the side, and Dr. Ish, he's going to give it to you straight. So they're discussing, again, the stigma of being gay or bisexual in Brock's case in the hip-hop community, and him receiving a similar backlash in his relationship with Amber. Brock speaks about being together for years since they were kids and coming out to Amber, and that it broke his spirit. Sir, anything that breaks your spirit, let it go. Let it go, move on, just in my personal opinion, in your peace over everything. So Judge Toller, she's speaking to the group. Monie comes over and gives Amber a hug. Monie says she's an empath. Judge Toller's like, listen, this is what boot camp is all about. We're here, we're supporting each other. So Dr. Ish, they're separate from the group. He points out that Amber is here, and a part of showing up is because we believe that we can make each other happy. But it's the shame that keeps them apart. He's trying to say, the biggest thing is that she's here, she wants to be here. So now they may love each other, and I don't even know that I would doubt that. But sometimes, like I said earlier, that doesn't mean you should be together. You can love somebody, that doesn't mean you need to be in a relationship. Hard lesson learned for your girl. So Nori and Niri, he takes care of the bills, and he feels like, that should be enough. Nori, you don't want to help with your kids? Dang. Okay, so Judge asks if he worries how his strong personality reflects on the woman he loves. Nori's response does not address Neeri's feelings at all, and Judge points this out. That kind of hit him. He was like, oh, dang. So Monie says, my boy, he got to come out of the dark ages. He got to realize this old school. He is not Fred Flintstone. N.O.R.E has a problem with power also. They're celebrities. I mean, he wants her to say no to her friends sometimes, and he wants to have a choice in what he eats for dinner. So, like, I was laughing. So Neeri's like, he loves her and he's a good provider, and I'm sure that he is. But, there's more to a relationship than that's just providing. You got to provide that emotional component. Otherwise, what are we here for? So then we get to Monie and Tuff. When Monie was pregnant and Tuff was traveling, he started cheating. He said it was only about 3 other women. Jigga what? Jigga who? What did you say, Tuff? Why did you say that like that made it okay? Amber points out that her, this is in her confessional, her being pregnant was like the worst possible time for him to cheat. And how dare you? Yes, Amber, how dare you, Tuff? How dare you? So Monie cries and she's like, you wanted this child. He did, but he did not take into account everything that came with it. These dudes never do. I'm not saying that there are women that don't do that too, but, having a kid, it ain't easy. Emotionally, physically, financially, it's not an easy thing. So if you're not ready for it, please do us all a favor. So Dr. Ish points out that, Monie still isn't over it. She's not. She can't understand what was the reason. Why would he do this to her? And Dr. Ish asked Tuff what he thinks the change that she needs to see is. And he's like, accountability. He needs to understand how detrimental his actions were. And he does. The woman is still crying after all these years. That child, they've been together 14 years. I think that child is no baby. That child is probably a teenager. So now it's time for room assignments. And you know how this goes. The couples are going to choose who they think fits where. So we have Trainwreck Station, we have Cheater Chamber, we have the Petty Penthouse, and the Control Room. So for the Trainwreck Station, we have Miles and Amber. Self-explanatory. All of these are kind of self-explanatory. Control Room, we have Molly and Treasure. Cheater Chamber is Monie and Tuff, and the Petty Penthouse is Nori and Niri. So they head for dinner because the rooms aren't ready, and only, like I said, they discussed that only Nori and Niri are married. And Amber's like, yeah, we got to get the good advice from you guys. You guys are a married couple. Nori says that Amber and Brock, you guys are the same person. You have the same complaints in a different way. And they said they've been together so long. And then Molly's like, yeah, you know each other's BS. So Brock's basically like, yeah, if we know each other, we've been together so long, we know each other's BS. Either you're going to put up with it or you're going to let it go. Amber gets mad. She knocks his hat off. She throws his glasses on the floor. They argue. Then she smacks him in his head. She throws a drink on him and then she leaves. I don't even understand why it escalated, what the argument was for. I mean, unless it's editing and they cut something out, but even still, Dr. Ish is not going to let this fly. He's not going to let it fly at all. We know how the show works. We know how real life works. We must keep our hands to ourselves. So the group discusses how it went from 0 to 100. N.O.R.E says, they're on the edge because they were in quarantine. Brock apologizes to the group, for whatever. He's like, he's not hungry anymore. So Dr. Ish and Judge, they're in the back and they're discussing behind the scenes. Brock asks the group if they've ever seen, domestic violence from a female. Yes, we have. I'm sure they have too. So Molly says, you both got to chill. Amber follows, so they're both gone. The group is in the kitchen. Amber follows Brock and she confronts him. And she's darn near got him back into a corner, or at least those were his words. But she's confronting him. She's getting loud. She's getting aggressive. Slightly. I hate to use the word aggressive. So Dr. Ish steps in. She's like, I didn't put hands on him. Ish says, you don't have a shared reality, and it's a cycle. And he asked Amber if Brock had done the same. Would it be okay? She says no. And Ish is like, so why do you justify it for yourself? Amber says she feels disrespected. He's bringing the monster out. And Ish reminds her, you are a grown-ass woman. Indeed, Ish, she is. And she's responsible for herself. Dr. Ish says the shame is to blame. He says that they substitute passion with violence. So when they're not being sexual and being passionate, they're arguing, fussing, and fighting. So Brock tries to apologize, but Amber leaves. Dr. Ish is like, tomorrow's another day. It's 10 days. We're going to get this done. Good, bad, otherwise, pretty ugly, whatever. So Molly points out that, they know how to trigger each other. That's facts, no printer. So some believe the alcohol is to blame. Could be. So Treasure starts to talk, and she's crying and talking and talking and crying. And Nori's like, I have never seen somebody cry while they're crying. He's like, she double cried on us, and I was laughing. So Molly comes in, and he's like, you're like, what the, like, whatever. So now in the confessional, she says she's socially awkward. That's why she was drinking. Girl, I can relate to the socially awkward part. So the rooms are ready. First is Monie's room, and you know they always gotta have those triggering quotes on the wall, and she said so. Next we see Nori and Niri, then Brock and Amber. Everybody else is, you know, pretty cool. When we get to Amber and Brock's room, he apologizes. No, he asks her, she apologizes. She asks him if he apologizes. He apologizes. Again, he apologizes and says he loves her. We never saw her apologize. That could be editing. But Amber says she's over the breakup to make up, and it's just toxic, just straight toxic, as I said before. So lastly, we end up with Molly, and he isn't happy. The bed is too small, and blah blah blah. I'm a boss. Where's the TV? Dr. Ish comes in. He points out all of this is by design. Molly does not like being called controlling. Ish asks Treasure if, you know, she agrees he's controlling, and basically she does. He explains to both of them again, perception on both of their behalves. She sees things one way, he sees things another way. Treasure says she feels judged, and Molly is saying she's drunk. Meanwhile, she's crying, and to me, he's gaslighting AF. Like, if you listen to him, he is controlling. He sounds like he was gaslighting, and Ish says that control comes in many forms, and that she's been coping by drinking, and these things are not working for him. And he says, you know, Dr. Ish says, you know, something isn't right, and his spidey senses went off as soon as the two of them walked into the house. They're very uncomfortable around each other, and he plans to find out why. So 3 hours later, we see Treasure. She appears to be drunk. I don't even like to put that on people, but that's what it looked like. Molly is annoyed, and basically we end there. So I'm curious to see where the show goes. I hope you'll join me for episode 2. Hopefully I'll be back for episode 2, or at least a review. I'll be watching the show. How it goes determines on whether I will continue to review this or not. We are definitely going to see. In the meantime, check out some of my other videos. Thank you. Before you go, share, like, subscribe, drop me a comment in the comment section, and I appreciate you. Peace.